Shalom Israel, giving no praise to Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh Shah, Bashim, Akakadas, the bonus to the elders of GMS, which taught us his truth. And salutation to you, Hakim, meaning peace to you, brothers that's diligent, pushing this word, truth, and sincerity. Now, as you can see at the title at the bottom right here is Venezuela. Venezuela drops US dollar. And we know that that's a form of prophecy because we know that America controls these worlds through the dollar. The dollar is used as to put these nations in debt, and we know, according to Proverbs, the borrower is subject to the lender. So essentially, the money that we have is a debt note, meaning you're a debt to society. It's not backed by anything but your imagination. The fact that you believe that it's worth something makes it worth something. You see, but in the past, it used to be backed by gold and silver. But not anymore. You see? So and now, Venezuela went through hyperinflation. That's because they were trading with the US dollar, you see? But now that they're about to drop it, they're gonna turn to other means of currency, which is gold and silver, which is the natural God given way for men to use. Gold and silver, you see? And not only that, Iran and Venezuela is the top two nations that produce oil. So the reason why America's influence is in Venezuela is because they want to control that oil. You see, so everything is an ulterior motive with Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, to remain in power. But we know that according to Daniel, the Lord sets up kingdoms and brings them down, and this is the fall of Esau. So I'm gonna play a little bit. I'm gonna read article, and that's it. So we know that the scriptures say these nations should hate the oil and burn it with fire because America is making enemies with everybody. Literally, every country has a rift with America for its policies and how they treat people. You see? And we know according to the scriptures, they should hate the wall. Babylon the Great. You see? So prophecy is being fulfilled. Right, so now America's power is waning, but everybody else's power is increasing. And he made mention of Russia. Russia used to be weak after the Second World War. But now it's a top nation, Russia and China. Right. See, because what happens is it's a common saying that goes, my your enemies, um, how does it go? I'm a friend of my if we have the same enemy, we're friends. You see? Okay? So the fact that all these nations have a common enemy, a strong enemy at that, makes them friends to team up and to cast America off of trade deals, um, supplying as allies in war. You see, because America, the only ally they have is Israel or the Israeli state. The same branch of Esau, Edom, Amalek, but they made enemies of everybody else. And you see, she said, you're gonna see how long the dollar will last. Because the truth is, it doesn't have very much longer. We know that once the dollar collapses, it is gonna be the ultimate goal to push the RFID chip. In this new world order, expect no mercy. These people want your soul, they want your body, and they want to chip you. You see? So she said, let's see how long the dollar lasts. So this is a quick article and I'm gonna get a description. It says the Dow has fallen nearly 1,500 points from the peak of the market, and many believe this October panic is just beginning. See, because the scriptures say this is the beginning of woes. You see. So let me see. Let me see what the Dow Jones closed at. Okay, it was up. It took a dip, but now it's up. You know. See, but it dropped 1,500 points. Now it's only up 0.2%. You see, so the only reason why it's up is because the market is manipulated. So it says we haven't had an October like this in a very long time. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down another 327 points on Thursday, and overall the Dow is now down close to 1,500 points from the peak of the market. Unlike much of the rest of the world, it is still too early to say that the U.S. is facing a new financial crisis. But if stocks continue to plunge like this one, won't be too far away. And as you will see below, many believe that what we have seen so far is just the start of a huge wave of selling. Right? So what happens is once your stock takes a dip, people start to sell off. And what does that do? That destroys the companies in which they invest in, meaning the employees, they lose their jobs, um, the business go bankrupt, okay? You see, and it's a trickle down effect. And then it affects you because now you pay more out of taxes to support those that may not be working, like welfare, you know, Section 8, things like that. Because we're gonna have to, because the taxpayers, the ones that have jobs and are self-employed, have to pay more taxes. The rich don't get taxed, you see, and that's how it affects us, which is gonna cause people to riot, people to rob and steal, to get things necessity for them, necessities, you see. It says, of course, it would be extremely convenient for Democrats if stocks did crash because it would give them a much better chance of doing well in midterm elections. This is the most heated midterm election season that I can ever remember. And what U.S. voters choose to do at the polls in November is going to have a very serious implications for the immediate future of our country. After a very brief, really, um, so it looks like polls are going in this November, which is next month. It says after a very brief rally earlier in the week, stocks have been getting hammered again, and the S&P 500 has now fallen for 9 out of the last 11 trading sessions, and home builder stocks have now fallen for 19 of the last 22 trading sessions. It was a sea of red on Thursday, and some of the stocks that are widely considered to be economic bellwethers were among those that got hit the hardest, you see. So even the safest, quote unquote, stocks got hit hard, you see, showing you there's no um, safety net within the market, within this money. It says China. Chinese stocks have fallen 12% so far this month, and overall, that's down 26% over the last 12 months. That means that China is now well into bear market. And history tells us that when Chinese stocks fall 10% or more within 30 days, that is usually very bad news for U.S. stocks. The following comes to CNBC. The Chinese just had the worst quarter for economic growth since the first quarter of 2009, and many believe that this huge sign of trouble for the global economy as a whole. You see, so if China suffers, America suffers because they own majority of our debt. You see, and that's going to cause hyperinflation, so forth and so on. So this is Second Ezra 15 verse 49. I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence. So one of them, the key word is poverty. You see, because the Lord is sending people. Lord is making people poor. Like for an example, I'm gonna get some like fish and chips, which is like fried fish and French fries at this Jake owned Judah owned fish market store, and you had this black woman come in, and she's like flipping out. She's poor. Obviously, you could tell how she conduct herself and what type of clothes she was wearing, and she just start cursing, da 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 da, asking people for money. And next thing you know, she spits on the customer behind not the customer, the employee, cash register employee, flipping out. I say that to say that people are becoming impoverished. Poverty even worse now, and that's causing people to be depressed and sad. And which is really the punishment of God. Is start of 48. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and avenged, therefore saith the Lord. Well, this is actually talking about Babylon, ironically, America. It said, woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredoms, that they might please the glory of thy lovers, and that decided to commit whoredom with thee. See, it said, this is really going into Babylon. It said they should go steadfastly unto Babylon, make her afraid. They should come to her and besiege her in the star, and all wrath shall they pour out upon her. And then shall the dust and smoke come up unto the heaven, and all they that be about her shall bewail her. This is talking about America, funny ironically. And a part of one of the plagues is widowhood poverty. You see, he said, Ezekiel 7:19, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is a stumbling block of their iniquity. So when this dollar collapsed, man, just like in the Weimar Republic, they threw it in the street or they burnt it for fire. You know, they heat themselves in the time of cold. So this is a quick hit, man. Just keep your eyes on the news because things are about to heat up. So with that, so on.